Hi, hi everyone. Me, Sailor Neptune, Sailor Blue World, Michelle here, and today I'm going to talk about Android fight app, Android fight iOS. Now, a lot of folks are going to like either Google Android or Apple iOS, and there are going to be some out there who are going to say that Apple iOS can do what Google Android cannot. Now, first off, the one little thing that they could say is Siri, that tool, whatever you want to call it. But that's not a big deal. Beyond that, and beyond the little Apple thing loading up when you start up a iSpeaker, those might be the only two things that Google Android cannot do. But let's list all the things that Google Android can do that Apple iOS can do. Go on the interweb. Give and take calls. Give and take tides. Give and take interwires. Film. Shoot likenesses. Whatever. Take likenesses. Whatever. So, I don't think that there is anything beyond the whole Siri and the whole Apple thing loading up, that those are the only two things that Google Android cannot do that Apple iOS can do. Now, someone out there always likes to scathe Apple for coming up with the same, shifting one little thing about Apple, about the iSpeaker. Now, the truth is that Google Android's phone don't really shift all that much. I mean, yeah, Samsung and LG might make them, unlike how, say, Motorola makes them or how Google makes them. So there might be a shift in the way they look, but they mostly all behave the same way. Now, I know that some folks out there will say I don't know what I'm talking about and that I should do my learning. Well, need be true. But I think that anything that Apple iOS can do, Google Android can do too. And if you're going to bring up Siri, that bullshit fake mind tool, and say that that's the only thing, that's one thing that Apple iOS has that Google Android doesn't have. Oh well, big deal. I think that Google most likely will come up with something like that. I think there was Katana at one time, but I don't think Katana's ever made it to Google Android though. And I think there is Gemini or whatever, that tool, the twin tool, since Gemini is a Hellenish borrowed word. But I don't even think that tool's really ever. Maybe it has made it to Google Android, and I just haven't seen it. I don't know. But anyway, at the end of the day, a lot of folks, and it's always seemed to be a trope, I guess, that everybody wants the Apple iSpeaker, because they have this insight that the Apple iSpeaker is going to do everything that the Google Android far speakers that are being made by Samsung or LG or Motorola or Google themselves, that Apple's going to make them do one thing all of them can't do. And what's that? Have the Apple thing in the background, shift the cast, have the Apple likeness in the background, load up with the Apple thing. That's the only thing. Siri, that's the only thing. And I know with Google Android speakers, you either get the M for Motorola, the LG for LifeWorks, the S for Samsung, the G for Google, on the back, And the truth is that Apple far speakers always are worth way a lot more than the Google far speakers are. But I can't tell you how much And at the end of the day, Google Android can do anything Apple iOS can do. If you want to go on the interweb, then yes, you can go on the interweb as long as you have your interweb set up. You know, if you want to make a film or take a likeness, you can. If you want to give someone a call, you can, as long as you got that set up. If you want to give or take a tide, as long as you got that set up and know how to do it. If you want to give or take an interwire, as long as you got that set up and know how to do it. You can do all those things, you know. So Google Android can do all those things that Apple iOS can do as well. Hell, if you want to take a likeness of something and know what something is, Google Android can do that as well, as long as you got that tool set up and know how to work it. So if you could tell me one thing that Apple iOS can do that Google Android cannot, I just listed all the things. If you're going to say Siri, then that's the only thing that Apple iOS has that Google Android does not have. If you're going to say it loads up with the Apple thing instead of loading up with either the Samsoft or the LG or the Motorola or the Google whatever thing, then yeah, I guess that is one thing it can't do. But that's it. I think that at the end of the day, Google Android can do anything that Apple iOS can do. Now, Apple is going to say that it cannot, but that's not true. Apple is going to say that they can make their Y speakers greater and lighter, and they want to say their shit isn't worth, and they'll say their shit doesn't, and they'll say that their Y far speakers are cheaper than Samsoft, LG, Motorola, and Google, but I don't think so. But they'll say all that. And I'm not here to say that if you have a Apple Wise far speaker, then that's great. You know, if you like it, that's great. But I'm just telling you, anything Apple iOS can do, Google Android can do too, except for the whole Siri thing. That's the only thing. But then again, fake mind tools aren't always the greatest either. So, alright, give this film a like, share and playlist it, and I'll see you later.